me as I get started on the YouTube, okay? Nice. Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Llewellyn and I am an abuse survivor. I have many mental health challenges, and I know people call it mental health issues, but I think we already have a lot of issues. We don't need to call it mental health challenges. But I want to share with you that I am not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form in that aspect of it. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose nor can I prescribe medication. So please don't ask. I am not perfect, but I am a child of God. And as a child of God, I've come to you tonight because I've written several books about abuse and about mental health challenges, and they're all on Amazon if anyone's interested. Being an advocate for mental health and for abuse survivors, I want to come in here and talk to you about how do you live your life after being abused? Is it easy? Is it not easy? There's just so many things, so many questions. How do you survive after being abused? How do you survive with having all the negative committees in your head, right? How do you survive? Well, let me tell you something. It's not easy. So, this is how I want to do this. I'm also live and streaming on another app as I'm live here with you. Comment to me abuse if you've ever been abused. Comment MHC if you have mental health challenges. And let's get this going and let's see where my words can take us to hopefully help you. Now, swipe to view more comments. What? I don't understand that. Anyway, as an abuse survivor, I was abused from the time I was a child all the way up to my late 20s, very early 30s. And I still have trust issues to this day, a lot of it. In the process of being abused, not only was it sexually abused, physically abused, but I was also verbally abused and mentally abused and emotionally abused and financially abused and spiritually abused. I was abused every which way from Sunday and sometimes even on Sundays. It's not easy to talk about. At least it didn't used to be, but it is now. I can tell you my whole life story, or you can read about it, whatever, But there's a lot I left out in my first book, which is called Abused, It Is What It Is, because I really didn't want my kids to read the book. But someone told me I should go back and edit it and put everyone or put everything back in that book. So if you've ever been abused, right? Abuse, if you ever have mental health challenges, and that could be like depression, anxiety, I don't know, ODD, which is what my son was diagnosed with, ADHD, the whole 9 yards, right? Been abused, yeah. It's, hi, JA. It's the unknown that can scare you more than the known. I was married for 13 and a half years to my first husband. And in those 13 and a half years of being married to him, thank you, Haley. I literally just woke up. I learned to hate him. I learned that I knew what buttons to push to get him to hit me. I knew what words to say to get him to say bad things back to me. So I learned those things. And the things that scares me the most is when he hurt the kids. And I thank God it wasn't sexual with the children. They were his biological children. I really thank God for that part of it. But with physically, I would rather be physically abused than mentally and verbally and emotionally any day of the week, because the physical marks leave. The negative words always stay, like I'm stupid. That's all I hear from, growing up is, you're stupid, Llewellyn. God, can't you be more like your sister? Or can't you be thinner and prettier like your sister? Or I don't know, just so many other negatives, right? I'm never enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not whatever enough. And those words hurt so much more than all the beatings I ever got from my ex-husband. One, um, in my Abuse Is What It Is story, I talk about how he grabbed our son, who was about 7 or 8, by the throat, right, and had him up off the floor type deal. And I actually left then. He could beat me all he wanted. Don't touch my kids. And when I left, oh, I was scared. Here I am, a single mom of 3 children, and all I keep hearing is his words in my head saying that I'm not a good enough mother, that I don't know how to take care of my kids, much less myself, that I don't know how to cook, which he was right. I didn't know how to cook, that I didn't know how to clean. Again, he was right. But he did all that stuff. He cooked, he cleaned, he did all that so that way he'd have that control over me going, I'm going to use you as like a little puppet. Ha ha, you can't do this, you know? And it was not easy. I was free from him for 3 years when I met my current husband, and we ended up getting married. Been 21 years, almost 22, and I thank God for him every single day. My husband Troy is an amazing man, very patient, very kind, tries so hard to understand everything. He really does. Um, and I'm in counseling. And I have found so much more than just writing all the books. It's not funny. My counselor, she read my newest book called Not Alone, Not Forgotten. And she read it and she comes back. She goes, So, Llewellyn, you have all the answers right there. Why are you in counseling? And I told her, I says, it's not just about the mental health aspect. It's not just about knowing about it. I need to be able to talk about it. I need to be able to express the abuse that I went through, the mental health challenges that I'm going through. And so I've been in counseling for 6 months now, which is amazing that it doesn't even seem like it's been 6 months. Um, but living on my own for the first time with 3 children was so scary. I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know a lot of things. I was like the first time ever, like an 18-year-old finally leaving home for the first time, right? Only I had 3 kids that I had to be responsible for. And when I wrote, is it this one? Yes. When I wrote this book right here, see, it's called The Tiny Steps to Success, Not Alone, Not Forgotten, right? And I talk about mental health. I talk about God in here because there's scripture in here. And even though I talk about that in this thing, there are times that I can't talk about it. And so that's why I'm here tonight. I want to be able to talk about it. I want you to be able to talk about it because we need an outlet. If you don't have friends and family to talk to, find a counselor, find a pastor or an elder of your congregation or whatever religion you believe in. You are amazing. You are enough. And I want you to know that God loves you and so do I. So if you ever need someone to talk to, message me. No, I may not give you my phone number, my address, or anything like that, but we can definitely talk. Because if you keep holding it inside, it's going to just deteriorate you. And we don't want you to let them win. Them being whomever put the crap in your head, them being whomever beat you, them being, all the crap. So, any questions so far on my live stream over here? Any comments? Anything else you want to know before I continue? Go ahead. Now, I won't say your name aloud, but I will reiterate what the question is so that way my people on YouTube will know what I'm answering. How do you overcome overthinking? Okay, first of all, I want to tell you I do not like the word overcome at all. It's not like there's a bridge that we can just walk over and overcome the crap that's there, right? And how do you overcome hardships? Um, the best advice I can give to anyone is journaling. And you know that for a fact, young lady. Journaling is something that will help us see things. You journal it out, you write everything down. And that's another thing. Excuse my hands in the way here. Is I have this thick 365-day positive journal also on Amazon. And it's not like you have to start in order. You can just skim through, So, for instance, if I open it to this page, right, it says, we must embrace pain and burn it as fuel for our journey. So, embrace what you know and then figure out. I journal every day and it helps with my. Yes, exactly. Um, Journaling is very important because now you always want to date it. Always date it. You don't have to put the time on there, but always date it. Because when you date it, so let's say it's today, right? So we have 12. Oh God, today's Friday the 13th. So we have 12, 13, 24, right? And so if you date it today, and let's say that next year, 12, 24, or I can't even talk now, 12, 13. So 12, 13, 24. So 12, 13, 25, right? You're like, wow, I am better than that person there. You're talking about yourself, not anyone else. Our stories are not better or worse than anyone else's story. I could probably tell you things that would make you cry of what my ex did, what my stepfather did, what my mother did. But I'm telling you, my story is no better or worse than yours. Your story is every bit as important as the next person's. And when we compare our stories to someone else's stories, the only thing that does is it makes us feel invalidated. So validate your feelings. That's awesome to hear. Um, Validate yourself, journal it out. So, for instance, I started, like I said, about 6 months ago in counseling. And one of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about was, how do I be intimate with someone who doesn't abuse me? Because my brain is like, no, we can't do that. Probably a little bit of a TMI here, but I'm not going to go into details. But I wrote it down. And just in the 6 months, I've noticed a change in me. My husband's noticed a change in me. Um, I I have no problem sharing my life. You want to ask me questions, you ask me questions. You want to know, some things. My first words to you are going to be to journal. Get pen and paper. And I say pen because with pencils, you can erase things. Don't erase it. If you are overthinking or if you have so many hardships, and I'm guilty of that too. I have a lot of hardships that I've been going through. And recently it's been depression, anxiety. I went and got on medication for my anxiety and depression because I didn't want to sit around and mope, if that makes sense. I didn't want to tell my husband or my children or my grandchildren that mammy or mom or wife or whatever the case is that I get called, right? That I don't want to be here. They need me every bit as much as I need them. Okay, so with depression, um, because I know you, one of the things that you can do is read your Bible. Google for Bible scriptures for depression. Because I know you, I can tell you this. Um, If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in the Bible, that's fine. I'm not here to push my beliefs on you, but I know this person personally, and I can tell this person, Google depression and Bible scriptures, or Bible scriptures for depression, Bible scriptures for anxiety, Bible scripture for even overthinking. They have a lot of things on there in the Bible. Good. Um, but one of the things that you truly want to do is to journal. You want to get the gunk out of your head, because and here's the reason why. Because you can sit there and you can think all of the bad things, right? But then you pick up, and I'm going to use this as an example, right? You pick up your journal and you write all that stuff out. Now, all of a sudden, you can see it down here because you wrote it all down. And you look at it and you go, what do you mean I'm stupid? I'm not stupid. Heck, I write books. I'm not that stupid. I have to do research in order to write my books to make sure that I'm saying correct things. Now, here's something I also want to tell you guys is, if you read my books, do your own research. Don't just take my word for it, because that's what I believe. That's what I do to try and help myself. And what may work for me may not work for you. And that is totally understandable. But what I'm doing is I'm giving you a basis that you can take and see what works and what doesn't work. Hi. So when you are overthinking, write down what you're overthinking. How true is these thoughts, right? And if you ever have to doubt yourself, which I'm a great doubter myself, if you ever doubt yourself, you want to write it down, because your eyes can't see what's in your head. But once you write it down, your eyes can see that, and they can tell you if that's true or not. Because now all of a sudden it's on paper and you're like, what? I that's not true, and then on the other side of that lie, you're going to put the truth. So let's say, for me, um, my friends don't like me. They don't call me. They don't reach out to me. But then again, right? I'm guilty. I don't reach out to them. So the truth of the matter is, my friends are there when I'm ready. And I have to be the one to get out of my own head, right? I have to get out of my own head in order to reach out to my friends and family, or whatever the case is. I'm using it as an example, dear. So it's all right. So when your thought processes take you to things that are just absolutely driving you nuts, you're not sure what to do, your first step is to journal. Your first step is to journal. Get it out of your head the best way that you possibly can. You are not. I never want to hear you say that. And here's another thing too. Would you tell me that I was stupid? Would you tell me that? Exactly. So don't tell yourself that. And that's another thing too, is you want to think, and I do it in front of my mirror. You want to think that when you are talking to yourself, I do affirmations in the mornings and at night in the mirror. Hey, Llewellyn, I see that you've written a book. Great for you. You did a great job. You wrote a children's book. Oh, wow. You've got some really good reviews. People are loving the children's book, right? Would I tell my friends that they're stupid and they're dumb and they can't move on? No. So why would you talk about yourself that way? Because you are someone's friend. And as someone's friends, hi. I'm also live on YouTube, so I don't want to say your name, but hi, it's good to see you. Um, you know, and that's fine. You have you get the choice. You get to choose who is in your life and who's not in your life. And sometimes even friends, you have to stop and think, Are they toxic to me? And then write down what toxic is to you. You know, I have a PowerPoint presentation. It's called Cultivating Happiness. And one of the things I put in there is to evaluate your own ethics and morals. What do you believe are your morals? What do you believe are your ethics? Do you even know what that is? Do you know what they are? If you don't, research it. If you do, great. Because now what you got to do is you have to figure out, is it worthy for them to be in my life based on my beliefs? Are they helping me or are they hindering me? And that's for anyone. I don't care if it's a friend. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's a significant other. With them in your life, right? Filter comments similar to those tagged by your community. Why? Did someone say something bad? I hope not. Um, but with mental health challenges, like I said, I fight depression, I fight anxiety. And one of the biggest things I fail at is being a good friend. I fail at reaching out to people. I fail at that. I am not good at doing that. I will talk to you as long as I'm not busy, any day of the week, anytime, as long as you need me. But I fail to reach out when, it's like today I wanted to call someone and then I remembered I couldn't because I had to call somebody else because I had to get a problem taken care of first. And then once I did that, I couldn't call the friend I wanted to call because it was too late. But I don't want to use the word failed. We're busy. And if you are a true friend of mine, you're going to understand that I'm busy too. And we can reach out anytime we need to, say, hey, is this a good time to talk? No, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you and I'll, hopefully talk to you soon. Right. Um, so, and of course, the weather here right now, because I live in Oregon, doesn't help my depression. It's rainy, it's cold, it's wet. And that adds to my depression. That adds to my anxiety because now I can't get out and move. Now I'm kind of stuck in the house. I'm trying to keep the house warm because, well, manufactured home, it's like a trailer, right? It's weather is a good thing though, because weather that works too. Yeah. Weather is either a hindrance or a help to people like me that fight depression. Because maybe I just want to sit on my porch and I can't do that because it leaks and I don't want to get wet, or it's too cold out there, or, you know, whatever the case is. Um, Hang on one second. There we go. Turn that off. Um, it's important for you to take care of yourself because, I mean, we can help one another and we should help one another. But in the end, it's about you taking care of you. To give you an example, if you keep eating cookies from the cookie jar and nobody fills it up, so in other words, your love tank is empty, right? Because you've given so much to everyone else. If you've given and no one's given you back, what do you do to do self-care to reestablish your inner peace? When you feel that you're all alone and that you have no one to talk to, is there anything anywhere that you can say or do that will help you in the matter of taking care of your MHCs or trying to figure out how to live after being abused? You're never alone. Exactly. And I tell people that you're never alone. You are loved and you're not forgotten. So, real quick, back to the abuse situation. So, after leaving my ex, before we were exes, I left him. I lived on my own, and it was scary. I mean, how do you live alone? And I didn't know how because I went from being an abusive home life to marrying an abusive man right after school, right? Having 3 kids by this man, being with him for 13 and a half years, and going, now I'm going to live alone with 3 kids? Yikes, right? So, how do you do that? And I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. You just take it one moment at a time. Don't even take it one day at a time. Take it one moment at a time. Because sometimes, even in that moment, our heart just gets into our throat and we're like frozen in fear, right? You know that saying, when you're in the moment of a dangerous situation, you either do the fight, freeze. What's the other one? I don't. There, I think there's like 3 Fs, right? So either fight, freeze, and I forgot the third one. Um. Anyways, so okay. So anyway, so what happens is that's it. Fight, flight, or freeze. There we go. Thank you so much for helping. I freeze. And so now I've got like my heart in my throat. I'm freezing up because I don't know how to live life without someone. Even if he was abusive, how do I live without someone there? And he made it impossible for me to have friends. He always told my friends that I was a bad influence, or that I was stupid, or that I didn't know anything. And he always told my kids that too. Oh, you don't need to listen to your mom. You don't need to listen to your mom, right? Yeah. And so I had to learn how to live on my own. And so I started journaling. I started writing things down. Okay, so I'm going to Google how to make dinners, right? I'm going to Google how to um, be a single mom. Well, that doesn't work enough for me. So I went down to my local Christian bookstore, and this was before, I guess you could say, I found God, right? But I didn't know where else to go because I couldn't afford counseling. Not for me, not for my 3 kids. So I went to a local Christian bookstore. I bought a book on how to be a single mom. I bought a book on what to expect before and after marriage. I bought, what was that book? The five languages of love, or the 5 love languages. I forgot how it's actually titled, but something, I think it's the 5 languages of love. And I bought me a new Bible because my ex kept my family Bible. And I would sit there and I would read these things. And my kids would ask me questions and I would read it to them, and they'd get bored and go off type deal. But that was okay. That was their choice. Then I started turning to God, going, okay, what do I do? How do I deal with this? And it was scary. It was scary living alone. It was scary not having my husband there, because even though he was abusive, there was still someone there. But now I don't have anyone. Right? So here I am, single mom, 3 kids, going, what do I do? And they were 7, 11, and no, they weren't. They were 6, 8, and 10, because she was 13 when I met him. So yeah, 6, 8, and 10. And for 3 years, I did the best I could. If I didn't have milk or type of food, I'm sorry, I'm not bringing anyone up. If I didn't have food or whatever, I'd ask my ex if he'd help out with the kids. Always told me no. But his father would help. My ex father-in-law kept asking me why I was with him. And then when I finally did leave and divorce him, he would help me with the children. And my father-in-law has passed away since. And it kills me because my ex did not want me anywhere near my father-in-law, his father. And it's like, it wasn't even for me, it's for the children. But they couldn't even say goodbye to their grandfather because he wouldn't let them, wouldn't even tell me where he was at or anything. You have to learn closure on your own. There is no real identifying closure, anything. You and you alone have to accept what is given you, learn how to deal what is given you, and turn it around. And one of the things I like to say, and this is just my belief, is that God sees my mess and turns it into a message for other people. So I've been talking for almost 30 minutes. Is there any questions, any comments, anything you guys want to know? Just anything. Hot cocoa is good. I really want to thank you guys on my app over here. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot to me. And on my YouTube channel, thank you for being here. So I'm not seeing no, just regular hot cocoa for me. I'm not seeing any questions or comments or anything, so I'm going to continue on. So being abused, for me, this is just my story of it. Just whenever you can. Um, led to me having the mental health challenges that I have. So I have PTSD. I even have CPTSD, which is a complex post traumatic stress syndrome, right? Because I was abused growing up. I was abused by my ex husband. I was bullied in school, and I hate to say this, people, but even bullying is abuse, especially when you tell a teacher and they do nothing about it, right? Oh, it just makes you stronger. No, maybe I want to kill myself. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe unalive myself. Um, I thank God I didn't, because I wouldn't have the 3 children that I have, and I wouldn't have the 6 grandchildren that I have, and I wouldn't have my wonderful husband that's out there right now, or the animals, the cats, the dogs, whatever. But it's hard to have all that negative up here in your head. And I call them ants, which is the automated negative thought syndromes. And I literally picture little black ants. And if they tell me that I'm stupid, that I can't do something, I literally picture myself stomping on them and going, yeah, I can. I can do this. I've written books. I have studied to be a life coach. So I'm certified as a life coach, several different types of life coaches. I I am working on being a motivational speaker because I want to talk to teenagers in schools and help them recognize the green, yellow, and red flags in any relationship. Because I was 17 when I met my first husband. He had, I'll say, trained me to accept his abuse, because even though I was already abused, it didn't take much for me. Just saying. It was easy for him to do that because I was abused by my family, that he would isolate me more from friends. I only had like 2 friends, but I was isolated from them. If I was invited to go out places, he wouldn't let me, because even though he lived in another town, and he'd call me exactly at 3:30 in the evening. Your live contains themes and some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted reason. Oh man. So am I still live? Oh well. All right, so I'm still alive. So he trained me that we would go out for dinner, breakfast, whatever. He'd take me out for meals and he would order for me. I don't like vegetables. I hate vegetables. But he would make me eat my vegetables. I'd gag. Um, he would call me at 3:30. That's what it was, from school. So at 3:30, he'd call me from school. And then he'd call me again at 9 o'clock, because that's when he was at work, was around 3:30 or so. And he went to work, because, okay, I'm ready for work. Just want to let you know that I love you. I miss you. And I can't, and by that time, my friends were like, hey, you want to go? And he talked to me for a good half an hour to an hour before he went to work. And then he'd go to work and I'd miss out on being with my friends. And he did this every Monday through Friday. And we saw each other every single weekend, whether he came to our house or I went to his mom's house. Right. So then he would call me at 9 o'clock at night as I'm getting ready to go to bed. And he'd call me at 7 o'clock in the morning as I'm just getting up Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Okay. What am I doing wrong? Hmm, I don't know. But abuse of mental health is nothing to be joking about. There there are so many people that don't know that they have a choice to leave or stay. And some that do stay feel that they have to stay for fear of their lives or the kids' lives. I felt that way. Oh, I'm not used to that anymore. So not used to that. So if you know someone that has MHCs, mental health challenges, or are in an abusive situation or have been abused, don't tell them what they should or should not do. They've already had enough of that crap before. The best thing you can do is to sit with them, you know? Be supportive of whatever the decision is. Even if it's the wrong one and you know it's the wrong one, you can't tell them it's the wrong one. Because even though you're their friend and you want to be as honest as you can with your friend, telling them that what they're doing is wrong, unless it's hurting someone, don't do it, because they have to be able to see it for themselves. And sometimes they're not ready to. They may feel that they're not good enough to leave the person. They may feel that they're threatened and can't leave and is too scared to tell people that they're threatened and can't leave. So please try and take all that stuff into consideration when that happens. All right, so bear with me here. As for my live streaming on my YouTube, I want to thank you all for being here. Remember that God loves you and so do I. And if you have any questions or if there's a topic that you want to talk about, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I hope to see you guys soon. Now, as for